All right, cool. So we'll move on. And again, we'll sort of end our episode with a little bit of Lions training camp recap from last week. And as of right now, unfortunately, both Bo Scarborough and DeAndre Swift are still hurt. We are still, again, unsure on what exactly type of injuries they are. Um, did you have anything to say about them, Jimmy?
Yeah, it's getting a little concerning with DeAndre Swift. It doesn't seem to be a major injury, but it's been over a week now with maybe some upper leg injury.
Hmm.
The main concern is the biggest issue for a rookie running back is learning the pass protection so you don't get your quarterback killed.
Yes.
Swift is going to be a big time receiver for us. He's like a theoretic 2.0. He's going to play a bunch of third downs. He needs to learn the pass protection. So that's the main concern here that's going to possibly limit the amount of playing time he gets early in the season.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen it happen before with other running backs who got hurt early in training camp and then couldn't stay healthy throughout the season. So we just hope that doesn't happen with DeAndre Swift this year. And then
Right. We've
also,
had bad luck with running backs over the past 20 years with
y-
injuries.
yeah, I know. Especially it seems like we always draft running back in the second round, and no matter who it is, whether it's Amir Abdullah, on Johnson, DeAndre.
Mikel LaSure,
Mm-hmm.
Javid Bass, late first round.
Yep.
We could go down a whole list. I go all the way back to Jonathan Stewart, who was our running back after Barry Sanders retired.
Mm-hmm.
He was a really good player, or maybe it was James Stewart. It was Stewart,
Yeah.
but he hurt his shoulder in one of the final preseason games, which knocked him out for the rest of the year. It was just brutal. Just such bad luck as far as injuries for our running backs.
Yeah, basically since Barry Sanders, the Lions have struggled to find a steady, consistent running back who can stay healthy. We've had again some good running backs in the before. Just it's can they stay consistently healthy and perform for
Right.
a long amount of time. So and then also Nick Williams has been looking really good, the former Bears defensive tackle. So and again, I was concerned when he first brought him over. Again, he did play really well last year for Chicago, but I was just concerned because that defensive line was really stacked, and I think he was getting just single covered a lot. So he was able to get to the quarterback and kind of increase his numbers a little bit when Khalil Mack and some of the other guys are getting double teamed. But either way, everything that's been coming out of campus, he's been looking really good so far. What do you think about that, Jimmy?
Yeah, I read a tweet, I think from it was from Chris Burke, that Nick Williams has been the most disruptive defensive tackle in camp. And I love to hear that. We need a disruptive guy. We need a guy who can put some pressure on the pocket and on the quarterback.
Yeah, that again, that we've talked about it in many episodes. That was our biggest downfall last year was our ability to get to the quarterback and get just either pressure or sacks on the quarterback at all. We could not get past that line of scrimmage at all. So
And I've heard that Julian Okwara is looking pretty beastly out there from a pass rushing standpoint. So, God, I hope that's true because we need an edge rusher. Trey Flowers is fine. He's not an elite edge rusher, though. So, if we could get some speed rusher like Julian Okwara to get consistent pressure, that would make an enormous difference in the defense.
exactly, and even though you just said, like, even though Trey Flowers isn't that beast of a player, he's as of right now, he's our best defensive end. So he, again, as I just mentioned with Khalil Mack, is usually getting double teamed. If we can get even just a decent edge rusher off the other side to take some of that pressure off him to where the offensive line has to account for at least both sides of the line, that can again it can help increase Trey Flowers and hopefully Julian Okora as well. So and then also, it looks like Logan Stenberg has been our backup center because, as I'm not really sure, don't think we have another center behind Frank Ragnow as of right now. So, what do you think about Logan Stenberg so far and him possibly playing our backup center role?
Yeah, I wonder if this was the plan from the beginning when they drafted him in the fourth round. Again, this entire draft has been about getting guys who can play immediately this year because the Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn are on the hot seat. You throw in the whole COVID issue. They want guys who have a role immediately in their rookie year. So maybe this was their role for Logan Stenberg. They've been giving him the entire backup center snaps. And it'd be great if he could serve as a backup center slash offensive guard for us this year.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be awesome. But I'm not sure. Did he play center in college at all, or was he mostly at guard?
I don't know.
Yeah, again, I haven't followed that too much, I haven't looked into it, but so he might have played or might have played center previously in college for a little bit and switched over, I'm not too sure, so he might already have experience in there that's kinda like you said, that might have been their original plan on bringing him in and using him in that sort of way, so but then also, as I'm sure a lot of people have been watching this offseason, TJ Hawkinson is looking pretty beastly as well in practice. He's been working out this offseason with who's George Kittle, correct? That he was working out with in the offseason?
Yeah.
Yeah. His former teammate at Iowa. So, and he's been looking beastly all offseason. And now he's looking, apparently, according to reporters, he's looking just as good in practice. So that's a really good sign. What do you think about that?
Yeah, working out with the Kittle is a good idea. That guy is amazing, George Kittle. They both went to Iowa also, so they probably knew each other. Uh, yeah, we need TJ to be great this year. Bob Quinn, as well as many people have said that going from the first year to the second year is when you see the biggest jump.
Hmm.
So I'm really excited to see Hawkinson this year. I expect him to get a lot of pass receptions, be in that top two or top three as far as our wide receiver options.
Yep.
So it's going to be exciting to watch him this year.
Yeah, exactly. We have a lot of tight ends in the room too, so it's going to be interesting to see if we do a lot of double tight end sets or how we're going to kind of utilize all those tight ends because we still have Jesse James.
Yeah, we got Isaac Nada,
Yeah,
seventh round last year.
yeah. So there's it's a pretty deep tight end room in there as well. So we'll have to see what's going on there. Again, I'm assuming if they actually keep all of them on the team, that we might be doing just a lot of double tight end sets this year. So, and then also last note that we've got from training camp is that Kevin Strong might be the third defensive tackle. He's been with us for at least 1 year. He's been under Matt Patricia. So, but hopefully he's looking a lot better in Corey Undelin's new defensive scheme, which that is another quick note that came out just this morning. They had a little press conference with Corey Undelin, and supposedly, as of right now, it's come out that he will be calling the defensive plays. So it'll be interesting to see if he kind of again brings more pressures or more type of different blitz packages instead of just rushing three every time like we were last year. So, what do you think about Kevin Strong showing out in camp?
Yeah, Kevin Strong might be the number 3 DT right now. He got 15% of defensive snaps last year, and we need some depth on the defensive line. We
Yeah, for
lost
sure.
Atkins. Austin Bryan is still out. Who knows what's going on with him? And we lost two of our starters from last year with Snacks and Ashong.
Hmm.
So defensive tackle is a concerning position right now.
Yeah, I
As
agree.
Yeah, as far as Corey Unlung, AKA most interesting man in the world, AKA Detroit Lions defensive 2020 MVP. Good to hear that he says he'll be calling the defense because we need him to make a big impact on the team this year. Patricia has not shown in the past couple years that he's been creative enough or adaptable enough to scheme a pass rush to confuse the quarterback. So I do want to hear Corey Unlung saying he's got an important role. So this was a good sign for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's going to be a big change from Paul Pasqualoni last year again when he was almost never blitzing, never bringing any pressure. So as we mentioned earlier, that was one of the biggest problems for our team last year was the ability to get to the quarterback. So hopefully Corey Underlin can change that and make our defense a little bit more of a disruptive front than they have been in the past. Sure.
Yeah, a couple other notes. So it looks like the last media available practice was yesterday, Saturday. We're doing this on Sunday. So we're not going to hear basically anything valuable from now until kickoff. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Hmm.
Another thing I heard was the Bears are planning on keeping 2 kickers.
Hmm.
Maybe that's because their kickers all suck, but it might be a good COVID strategy too. We talked about this before that if Prater goes down with COVID for a week or two, that's not enough time to bring another kicker necessarily because they have to go through the whole quarantine testing procedure, which might take 3 to 5 days.
Hmm.
It might be a good idea to keep an actual kicker on the practice squad just in case.
Hmm.
And the last point was talking about just the major injuries over training camp. It's been very minimal. I think that's positive news so far. I
Yeah.
haven't heard a significant amount of major injuries across the NFL, and definitely not with the Lions. Jay Sean Cornell with the Achilles tear is really about it. Typically, there's an outsized proportion of ACL tears, Achilles tears, which happen in training camp. So it's pretty nice that we haven't seen much of that so far. Part of that might be due to the fact that there's no preseason games.
Yep.
So it's possible we might see a delayed surge of these kind of tears occurring in the first week or two of the season. But so far, things are looking good from an injury standpoint. And the way the NFL handled the whole offseason, as well as the gradual ramp up acclimation period in their training camp, maybe that's had an impact and helped out.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, it is surprising that there hasn't really been because a lot of people thought with them being off for so long and just kind of sitting around and no OTAs and all this stuff that a lot of players might not be in shape and might be out of football shape, as some people say they would have had again, as you mentioned, a more Achilles or ACL tears, stuff like that. But as you just mentioned, it could be attributed to no preseason games or just no joint practices because there's a lot of those in the off season as well, or in training camp as well.
Sure.
They do joint practices, and usually when they do that, they hype up the energy a little bit more and they play a little bit tougher than they have been
Mhm.
against their own
Yeah,
teammates all off season. So
it's a good point.
it could be attributed to that, but again, like you said, we'll just have to wait and see. It might be a little bit delayed once we actually get into season. There might be first 2 to 3 weeks, there might be a huge amount of significant injuries happening. So we'll just have to wait and see how it goes.
Yeah, cross our fingers there.
Exactly.